Guess what day it is? It's Sunday. How did you guess? I've just been on the phone to Noel and the electrician has just arrived. We've got an electrician. Eventually, it's taken about 5 months to get an electrician. So our building engineer had somebody that he always uses and they were supposed to get in touch. We didn't hear from them. Dennis had a contact and we never heard from them. They came to see it once and then Noel even gave him a key. Or it was Dennis gave him a key. So we lost a key to him. He's never got back in touch. And just, doesn't reply to messages. It's so frustrating. So we eventually put out a plea on the Facebook property grant support group kind of page where everybody is involved in renovating and sharing ideas about things and problems that we're having. And it's just really helpful because we said, does anybody know of an electrician in this area? And somebody got in touch with us and they've come and they're quite local. So they've been able to, this morning, as I speak, they will be putting a box on the outside of the house so that a meter, so that it can be connected. The ESB can then come and connect and we will have some power to the house and be able to run power tools and things that we need for the build. And then at a later date, he'll come back and do all the wiring throughout. So that's good. And then the other thing is that Noel's been doing this week is he's had somebody around from the well company, that drill for the water. And they've located a suitable site near the garage where they will drill down. And he thinks that there might be iron in the water from what he can see of the water that's, on the surface level. It looks like it's got iron in it. So they'll need to find solid rock, go down beneath that. And they don't know how far, how many meters they need to drill down. But he's given us an estimate of what he thinks and what the cost will be for that. And then once they get below solid rock, they take a sample of the water that they find there and see what it's made up of in terms of minerals and stuff. And then they can decide on what type of filter they need for it. So it's all very exciting, and the footage of that will be quite dramatic, I think, when they come and drill the well. Also, what else has happened? Oh yeah, an update on the engineer, on our, just having discussions with our building engineer, because as you know, if you've watched the previous videos, he was he wanted us to knock it down initially, start again. He was suggesting that, and we just said no, it's not an option. So he did then suggest that we have test pits dug just to see more about the foundations, but that would mean coming with heavy machinery and maybe doing 2 or 3 or even more, I don't know, holes really close to the house, to the building, and we just thought that's going to be really expensive. And also we've heard you telling us that it just destabilizes, the vibrations of the machinery and the digging down is it's not great. Well, why would we don't want to do that to the house, and we don't want a massive bill just to tell us, okay, you can leave it and let it stand, because it's going to stand anyway. We're not knocking it down. So we'd rather use the money for the build. It just makes sense. So that's what's happening. He's agreed to that, maybe reluctantly, but he's agreed. And what he's done is given us a final bill for all the plans that he's done for the electricity and things, the layout of it internally, and sent all the plans off to the building regs department. And then we won't really see him again. He won't be involved until the end, when he comes and just checks that everything's been done to start and signs it off. So that's good. That's a good outcome. What else to say? The vacant property grant have got back to us. They wanted, I think, a few more things that we've now been able to supply them with. They wanted to know the exact date of when the electricity was cut off. So we had to write to ESB and they had to put something in writing. It was 2007 actually. So it probably hasn't had running water there since then, because you need electricity for a pump to work. So that's all gone off. They should now have everything they need, and then they'll get in touch with us. They've confirmed that they have everything they need pretty much, and we're just waiting to hear from an inspector to go out and do a visit before we're allowed to start work. You see, it's important that anything that you've put in the grant that you're applying for. So all the stuff that's already been done, we haven't listed that in our expenditure on the grant application form. So we have to wait till he comes. We're hoping that things will fall into line and that, you know, that Noel can come home for a little bit and just touch base with us and reconnect as a family, and Noel can get out again when he needs to be there. Otherwise he's just hanging around for weeks on end and nothing happening, and it's not easy when we're not together as a family, and it's not easy when he has no water, electricity or sewage. He's also been keeping busy with getting creative with the clay. If you remember, when they came to dig the road, we opened up the field and they took out all the rock to use in the road, and there was loads of clay. They kind of separated out the clay and put it all in a pile, you know, out of the way. And so Noel was interested in the clay, being a sculptor, and has started working with it. He did some sort of filtration. I don't know what exactly he did with it. He's had some sat waiting there for months, you know, and it's now ready to kind of work. And so he's been doing that, and it's been quite remarkable actually what he's done. So I'm going to put all of that in a separate video of its own, because it's quite a long process. He just has recorded, filmed, going through every process until he's finally got a product to show you, and it's quite impressive. So I'll hopefully get that to you by the end of this week too. It was hot off the press. Noel's just rung me to say the electrician says he thinks ESB might be out by the end of the week to connect the supply. His auntie works for the ESB, and there was somebody, I think, that they put a box on Wednesday afternoon, and by Friday evening they were connected. So that's quite promising. Let's see what else Noel has been up to this week.
I'm going to start to put in a fence along this barrier here on the far side of the ditch. I'll just show you where he's going. There's a stake down here at the bottom. There's a stake up there at the top. So this is the area. This is my first post. This will be going up here. Let's get started. So I've just tied a bit of rope to the bottom of the first post that I banged in. This is at the top of the field. I'm going to run that out now down to the bottom, and that should give us a straight line between the two posts. We'll mark out even distance for each of the subsequent posts. Should be a good job. Here we go. There's my rope. I'm going to run it out down here. It's only made up of short lengths, but it's walked into a tree. There we go. What? Maybe I should turn around and walk forwards. It's too easy. That piece of rope has run out. Still got a ways to go. More rope required.
Noel also returned to Future Forests in County Cork to spend the rest of his voucher and chose some plants to plant along the driveway.
I'll just give you a quick idea of what I've planted here today. I'll give you a quick rundown. This first one is a Perius. I'll give you that. It's just a little shrub maybe. I think it has little flowers in the springtime, but it stays evergreen. I'll leave the tag there so we know what it is. It's looking pretty healthy, it's not too bad. I'll come back and I'll water these later on when the sun goes down a little bit. Next on the list is a Halimium yellow flowers. That's quite a small one, but apparently it can spread, so it's more for ground cover than it is for height. So that goes a little bit nearer the road. On to the next one. This is a peony, a tree peony. These can grow quite tall apparently, about 3 meters in height. So a bit more, maybe 10 to 12 foot. So it's quite away from the road, just to give it some spread. That's in there now. Just put a few stones around the bottom of it, try and keep the moisture in. That's that one. Next on the list, further down, is a taller one. Still looking pretty healthy though. This is a shringer. Look at that. Lovely sort of purple pink flowers. So that should be well established there. More stones just to keep the moisture in a little bit. Quite tall, that one already. Looking very healthy. And the final one today was this one is I'm not even going to try and pronounce that. If you can get that in focus a little bit, you can do it. Large evergreen, attractive bronzy young growths and white slightly scented flowers, followed by black berries. Whether that's an edible berry, I've no idea. I'll do a little bit of homework on that. That's what we've done. Just spaced out, trying to put some coverage down the side of the road here. It's an awful long way to go, but it's a start.